there's a point in the Christ trials that Yeshua was introduced to that you must realize. And this is reasoning number one why this being is so important. Okay, why Jesus is so important, aka Yeshua. Yeshua seen everything as equal. Even though it was doing miracles and all of these cool things, it did not see itself no better than the person that was sick on the street. It did not see itself no better than the homeless man that's asking for help. Yeshua took this perception of equality to a whole new level because he also seen the realms of spirit as equal. There's a being called oneness. It's a group of beings that represent that which is oneness. And when you are moving on the Christed pathway, you're introduced to the Christ trials, but also because oneness and Christ go hand in hand, you are now introduced to the oneness trials. Now, you must understand what Christ is. Christ is not the person, all right? People got to get this out their brain. Christ is not the person. There's a Christ force, all right, that existed before humanity created whatever it created, this illusionary realm. Christ existed before density. The Christ force existed before these universes and galaxies and everything that we created in density. The Christ force existed before that. The Christ force is basically like if you're like a mob boss, your right-hand man. God is the mob boss. Christ force is right-hand man. The Christ force is when you get, that's the highest you can get. You can't be the creator because you're the created. But the highest you can get is Christ consciousness. It's shoulder to shoulder with God. The only way the Christ force can enter a vessel is if the vessel reaches a frequency that aligns with it. Because if the Christ force tries to, like for example, when Yeshua was born, if the Christ force tried to enter that womb of his mother and enter the baby, and the baby didn't have a path of Christ consciousness, there would be a miscarriage. That's how powerful the Christ conscious energy is. Your vessel must be ready. And people don't appreciate Mother Mary as well because she's a Christed being. A Christ can only birth the Christ. And the Christ energy had to come through her first. That's a whole other thing though. Yeshua, as a being that's seen all as equal, he talked to the beings of oneness and questioned them. This is how you're supposed to operate in life. You're supposed to see if things serve for you. Is this serving? If you're on the path of light, you know your path is the way. So he would talk to the group of oneness just like this. Is it not true that all is one? They'll be like, yeah. Oh, a group of one is saying, oh yeah, everything is one. Okay, so he'll be like, is it not true that if one attains that which is the Christ, then he's a part of the many, right? And they'll be like, yeah, because Christ and oneness goes hand in hand. Oh, he was like, oh, okay, I got you. So, with that being true, is it not true that if I became the Christ and I am of oneness, does that not mean every being that exists because we are one now is the Christ? They paused for a second. You know what they said? The group of oneness? The Christ has spoken.